ready to go over Spiral Review 10. This is for Block 2 Math, Spiral Review 10. The first thing we want to put on here is that it's due Friday, October 29th. Okay. This first one in the number sense column, I think it's always important to look at the words that are bold and underlined. That's why they're bolded and underlined. It says round the following number to the underlined place value. This is a decimal. How is rounding a decimal different than rounding a whole number? Carter. You don't change anything after the decimal point to a 0. You just drop it. Anything after the decimal point and after the place you're rounding to just gets dropped. Okay, name the value of the underlying digit. That's what is it worth. And here, this one, just remember, note the decimal point. And name the place value. Remember, we like to write the place value column and then follow it with the word place. Okay, and this is a decimal number. Write the number in standard and word form. So they have it here in expanded form. You need to write it in standard form, which is just the typical way a number is always written, and then the word form. Don't forget, when we get to the decimal, it says what? And. Okay, and then we need to name the place value column that it ends in, which is going to be what? What's that 2 in? What place value column? Thousandths. Very good. Okay, over here we have addition, subtraction with estimates. Show all regrouping. Okay, remember our estimating rules? We can find those on pages 35 and 36 in our journal. We have to round to the highest common place value. They both have to be rounded to the same place value column. So they both have to have that place value column in order for that to be where we round to. Okay? So over here you need to do an estimate, and then over here you need to actually add it, and then you need to decide if it's reasonable. The answer here should be yes. Your estimate should be pretty close to your actual number. Okay? Same here, now we're subtracting. Do an estimate, show your regrouping work. Okay. A division, we need to make a model. This is one I would like to talk about again this week. When we do division in 4th grade, we use a remainder. Okay, so let me tell you what I mean here. Okay, so if I have 45 divided by 8, well, that says 45 equals 8, which is clearly not true. 45 divided by 8, that equals 8 times 5 is 40, so it can go in there 5 whole times, and then there's 5 left over. We say remainder 5. That's 5 remainder 5. Some of you, and you're not wrong, I've seen this 5 and 5/8 where we're turning that remainder into a fraction, and yes, that is true, and you will do that later in math. And then I've seen where you're adding decimal points to it. Okay? That is another thing that you will do later in math, is turn that remainder into a decimal. But in 4th grade, we use the term remainder because one of our standards is to know what to do with the remainder in a story problem. And when we get to division, we're going to do that. So you have to be just using a remainder when you're dividing in 4th grade, okay? So I just wanted to talk about that for a minute. Here's our model. We're going to have 7 groups here. And then here you might want to have your remainder and show that there. Okay? How many go in each group and how many are left over? Multiplication. Okay, now this is new. Well, I don't think it's real new. We've been doing some of this. Okay, do you know how to use this box to set up a multiplication problem? Yes. Okay, I'm just going to help you set it up. 8 times, and then we break apart 267 by place value. So the 2 has a value of 200. The 6 has a value of 60. And the 7 has a value of 7. That's really just the expanded form of that number, right? And then we multiply 8 times 200, 8 times 60, and 8 times 7. Those numbers that are in these boxes are called our partial products. We know that a product is the answer to a multiplication problem. Partial product is part of the answer to the multiplication problem. So we add those 3 together to get the product. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay, look at this. It says, use a strategy from math. See Mrs. C or Mrs. S during RTI if you need some help. Okay? I mean, I just think maybe you should go see Mrs. C if you need some help, since it says you can. All right? During RTI. Maybe this week you can go visit her. Okay, well, I think that means Mrs. Campbell. Thank you. You can put that on my chair. Okay. Turn this over. Inequalities. First, change to common denominators. You have to have the same denominator. So this 1/4, we need to make an equivalent fraction that has what denominator? 44. Okay? Oh, I suppose. Okay. Hint. Pin a decimal point on the back of whole numbers, line up decimal points, and add zeros to empty places. Show your work. We know how to do this. So it's 23 and 86/100 plus 8, put a decimal point, and 2 zeros. That's how you can line those up. Okay? It's going to be similar for this one. Which is the bigger number here? Which one should be on top? 12 and 5/10 or 6 and 73/100? 12 and 5/10. These digits are in the ones place. You have to line up your decimal point. I would recommend maybe putting a 0 after that 5. Okay, write 7/10 as a fraction and a decimal. Okay, we talked about this last week when we went over the spiral. Label the parts of the problems. Okay, these are addition. So what do we call these numbers? Journal pages 35 and 38, and it says spelling counts. So you're going to have to spell them correctly. This is a subtraction problem. Pay attention to those. Okay? Okay, over here we have area and perimeter. This says decompose the figure into 2 rectangles. What does decompose mean? Jameson.
Kind of separate it.
Break it apart, okay? So we can go here or here. I'll let you decide. Horizontal, vertical, what do you want to do, Gary? Vertical, Gary says. Okay, so now we need to figure out the length of this side, and we need to figure out the length of this side. Okay, now I'll do part of this as a freebie if that's what somebody asked for. How many sides does this shape have when I go to add up the perimeter? Noah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So when you add it up, make sure you have 6 sides there. Okay, please, please, please use a ruler. Draw your arrows. Have points with letters. Use this blue sheet as a guide. Draw a ray. Here's a ray. Draw perpendicular lines. Here's perpendicular lines. Okay? That should be easy peasy. Oscar, speaking of lemon squeezy, look at our problems about lemonade. Oscar was assigned to bring beverages to the fall party. Okay, I'll just wait a second. He decides to bring a total, put a box around it, of 7 gallons of fruit punch. Also, he will bring 2 gallons of lemonade for every 10 people. How many total gallons of fruit punch and lemonade will he need to bring for 30 people? Complete the table and answer the question below. Okay, so how many gallons he decides to bring a total of 7 gallons of fruit punch. So how much total fruit punch is he bringing?
21.
How much fruit punch is he bringing? He decides to bring a total of 7 gallons of fruit punch. How much fruit punch is he bringing? Dane? 7 gallons for all 30 people. He's bringing 7 gallons. That's it. So it's not 7, 7, and 7. It's just 7. Okay, then he brings 2 gallons of lemonade for every 10 people. So these people get 2, right? How many for these 10 people? How many people for these? How many gallons for these 10 people? Okay, so let's just reread it. He decides to bring a total of 7 gallons of fruit punch. He will also bring 2 gallons of lemonade for every 10 people. Complete the table and answer the questions. Okay? So, I mean, I guess you could put 3, 3, and 1, or 2, 2, and 3. But it's really just total 7 gallons of fruit punch. So I would say you could do this, right? And then go across, add up the total, add up the total, add up the total. And restate the question. How many total gallons of fruit punch and lemonade will he need to bring? Okay, raise your hand if you have one you want a freebie on. Raise your hand if you need a freebie or want a freebie. Colin. This one? I mean, I just did almost the whole thing for you. That one's going to be so easy now. Shh. Okay, Stella comes. Okay, I will go through and help you find the unknown sides and part of the area. Okay. Huh? I almost did the whole thing for you already. I'm not finishing it for you. Okay. So, how long is this side? How long is this? Olive. Okay. If this is 3, then from here to here is 3. If this is 5, from here to here is 5. So the total is 8 centimeters. Okay, one way I like to say it is, if this is the longest line, then you need to add the other 2 vertical lines. If this is the longest vertical lines, the other 2 vertical lines will add up to the length of that. Okay, what about this one? How long is it from here to here? No. Okay, let's not yell out. Raise your hand and be thoughtful. This is 10, and this is 4. How long is this? Eloise. 6. So if this is the longest line, if this is not the longest horizontal line, then you need to subtract to find out the length of this line. Does that make sense? Subtract your 2 horizontal lines to get this length. Add your 2 vertical lines to get this length. Does that make sense? Hello? Okay, so just to reiterate, because you're not making me feel confident, this is 4 centimeters, this is 4 centimeters. If this whole thing is 10, then I need to subtract that 4, and that leaves this to be 6, which makes that 6. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, these 2 horizontal lines have to add up to the length of this one. Okay, so then I just need to find the area of each part. Stella comes, what's the area of this part of the rectangle? 32. 8 times 4, that's my length and my width. And then you need to find the area of this one. And then you can add all those sides to get the perimeter. Okay, what other freebie do we need? Remember the front side? What other freebie do we need, Savannah? The estimate?
Yeah.
Over here for the addition? The addition estimate? The subtraction estimate? Okay, I am asking Savannah. Savannah, which one did you ask for? The subtraction estimate. Okay, what place are we going to round to?
10 million.
The 10 millions place. Okay, so what is this one going to round to? Gary. 40 million minus, what is this one going to round to? I should have more than 2 hands up. Lindy. 20 million. And when I subtract, that leaves me with 20 million. So when I subtract here, my answer should be close to 20 million. Okay? If it's not close to 20 million, then I am not subtracting correctly. Okay, any other questions? Will? Or any other questions? Luke?
Wait, is there another baby?
What one do you want? This?
No. Yeah.
This?
No.
This? I'll help you with it during RTI. Okay, McKenna.
I have another baby idea.
What?
All of them.
Oh, McKenna. Shoot, that's on video, McKenna. You're I mean, come on, you're looking like a freeloader.